श्री गुरु गौरांगंधार गिरिधारी श्री राधा विनोद बिहारी जू की जाय। श्री गोविंद गोपीनाथ मदन मोहन जू की जाय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार भक्ति वेदांत नारायण गोसाई महाराज श्री गुरुदेव की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार भक्ति वेदांत वामन गोसाई महाराज की जाय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोसाई महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद अष्टोत्तर शत शिष्यमार भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोसाई प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट महाभागवत श्रील गोरक्षर बाबूजी महाराज की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट श्रील सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। श्री रूपानुगौर्य गुरु वर्ग की जय। श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ शार गोसाई प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर राय रामानंदारी श्री गौर पार्षद वृंद की जय। नाम जय श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्री वासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री क्षेत्र मंडल गौर मंडल ब्रज मंडल मथुरा वृंदावन धाम की जय। सर्व अभिष्ट प्रदाता गिरिराज महाराज की जय। श्री राधा कुंद श्याम कुंद की जय। श्री यमुना देवी गंगा देवी की जय। श्री तुलसी महारानी वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भक्ति देवी की जय। श्री पूर्णमासी योगमाया की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर महादेव की जय। श्री हरि नाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री चैतन्य भागवत की जय। Śrīla Vrindavan Das Thakur ki jai. I just went blank. The Gaudiya Bhashya commentary of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki jai. Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Grantaraj Śrīmad Bhagavatam ki jai. And now we're reading about Śrīla Namacharya Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura ki jai. Shri Hari Nam Sankirtan ki jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Samagata Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Gaur. All right, 1 second. Let me just get this open. Hari Bol Champak Didi, and let's see. Oops. And Karuna Didi, Ganga Mataji, and Manjari Didi, and Nitai. Hari Bol. Okay, so, and the reason I'm late right now, it's a really good reason. Just now, after a very Rup Manjari will especially be happy to hear this, but after a long time now, the Gaudiya Kirtan app is starting to, things are starting to happen. And I just was in a meeting with Sri Ram Prabhu, the developer of the Gaudiya Kirtan app, and this really nice boy named Aditya. And yeah, they're meeting together, going through the app and working out how to, he's just kind of, Sri Ram's giving guidance to this boy on how to continue, developing the new Gaudiya Kirtan app. So yeah, I just wanted to introduce him, and then that's why I'm starting late now. Okay. What shall we do first? 7:10. I think I'm going to, it's been a while since we haven't been doing kirtan before the program, but I want to get through a lot today. And so I think I'm going to just start the Mangala Charan now. Yeah, so that we don't go over time. So. Ajnanatirandasya jnananjana shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam yena tasmai Shri Gurave namaha. Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadbhaktaya Namo Namaha. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhya eva cha पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। आजानुलम्बितभुजौ कनकावदातौ सङ्कीर्तनैकपितरौ कमलायताक्षौ विश्वम्भरौ द्विजवरौ युगधर्मपालौ वन्दे जगत्प्रियकरौ करुणावतारौ नमस्त्रिकालसत्याय जगन्नाथसुताय च सभृत्याय सपुत्राय सकलत्राय ते नमः। अवतीर्णो सकारुण्यो परिच्छिन्नो सरीश्वरो श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य नित्यानन्दौ द्वौ भ्रातरौ भजे। सजयति विशुद्धविक्रमा कनकाभकमलायतेक्षणा वरजानुविलम्बि षड्भुजो बहुधा भक्तिरसाभिनर्तका। जयति जयति देव कृष्ण चैतन्य चन्द्रो जयति जयति कीर्तिस्तस्य नित्या पवित्रा। जयति जयति भृत्यास्तस्य विश्वेशमूर्तेर्जयति जयति नृत्यं तस्य सर्वप्रियाणाम्। आद्य श्री चैतन्य प्रिय गोष्ठीर्चरणे अशेष प्रकारे मोर्दंड परनामे तबे वंदो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य महेश्वर नवद्वीपे अवतार नाम विश्वम्भर। तवाय वास्मि न जीवामि त्वया विना इति विज्ञाय राधे त्वां नायमं चरणन्तिकाम्। भक्त्या विहीना अपराधलक्ष्याय क्षिप्ताश्च कामादितराङ्गमध्ये कृपामयि त्वां शरणं प्रपन्ना वृन्दे नमस्ते चरणारविन्दम्। भज श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Ore mural, let me do that. Ore muralok shuno Chaitanya Mangal, Chaitanya Mahima Jate Jani Beshakal, Krishna Lila Bhagavate Kohe Bedyas, Chaitanya Lila Ravyas Vrindavana Das Koilo Chaitanya Mangal, जहाँ रसवाने नाशे सर्व अमंगल। चैतन्य नितार जाते जानिए महिमा, जाते जानिए कृष्ण भक्ति सिद्धांतेर सीमा। भागवते जत भक्ति सिद्धांतेर सार, लिखिया चिन इहा जानी कोरिया उधार। चैतन्य मंगल सुने जदि पाषंदी जवान, से हो माह वैष्णव होए ततक्षण। मनुष्य रचिते नारे ऐचे ग्रंथ धन्य, वृंदावन दास मुखे वक्ता श्री चैतन्य। वृंदावन दास पदे कोटि नमस्कार, ऐचे ग्रंथ खोरिते हो तारिल संसार। नारायणी चैतन्येर उच्चिष्ट भाजन, तार गर्भे जन्मिला श्री दास वृंदावन तार की अद्भुत चैतन्य चरित वर्णन जहाँ श्रवणे शुद्ध कोइलो त्रिभुवन असहजे विचित्र मधुर चैतन्य विहार वृंदावन दास मुखे अमृतेर धार वृंदावन दास मुखे अमृतेर धार. By nature, all the activities of Śrī Caitanya-Mahaprabhu are very wonderful and sweet. And when they're described by Śrīla Vrindavan-das Ṭhākura, they become like a shower of nectar. Jai Śrī Caitanya-bhāgavata ki jai, Śrī Caitanya Charitamrita ki jai. Sorry, Śrīla Vrindavan-das Ṭhākura ki jai. Śrī Harinam Sankirtan ki jai. Śrī Nitai Gaura Premanande Hari Hari Bo. Jai Gauriya Bhashya of Śrīla Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada ki jai. Sorry guys, I'm a bit spaced out right now. My mind's on the, really focused on the Gauriya Kirtan app right now. Hare Krishna Subhadra Didi, Kishore Prabhu, Nri Hari Prabhu, Bhavatarani Mataji, and yeah, I really saw Champak Didi, and let's see on, where is it, Restream. Oops. Oh, and Sudevi Didi, Haribo. All right, so I wanted to start a little bit earlier today because I want to get through a lot. I want to read, Kishore, would you like to do a recap of what we read so far in this chapter? If not, I can read from the book, but if you're comfortable with it, then that's great.
I don't remember much except Haridāsa Ṭhākura being taken in by the Yavanas, and then Haridāsa Ṭhākura looking at the prisoners and saying that stay here as you are, and they became disturbed, like, what is this? Haridāsa Ṭhākura is giving us a bad blessing. And then Haridāsa Ṭhākura is explained, no, I never give bad blessings. What I'm telling you is that you should stay here, avoiding sense gratification and focusing on Krishna bhakti. If you're worried, you have very good fortune that you're in this jail cell. Otherwise, if you were outside, you could be affected by other people and forget Krishna and go towards sense gratification. So Haridāsa Ṭhākura was saying that you have very good fortune here. And then Haridāsa Ṭhākura went in, and then he spoke to the king, and he spoke to the Qazi, and gave a long conversation explaining that God is one, etc. And then the king looked towards the Qazi and asked the Qazi, what will you do now? And the Qazi says that he should be whipped in 22 marketplaces. 22, right?
And actually, it wasn't. The king actually didn't seem to be all like. I mean, ultimately, he was very bad because he allowed that to happen to Haridāsa Ṭhākura. But the king wasn't really so against Haridāsa Ṭhākura like the whole time. Really, it was right. Like Haridāsa Ṭhākura gave this beautiful explanation, and the king was satisfied. And the king didn't want to punish him. He was very but as the Qazi was very evil. And
the Qazi was very evil. The king wasn't that bad. He wasn't that good, but he wasn't that bad.
Yeah, because the king probably could have stopped Haridāsa Ṭhākura getting beaten. So the king wasn't good, but he also wasn't it's not like that's what he wanted to happen either. And so
then after that, Adi looked towards the Qazi. Tried to also reason with Haridāsa Ṭhākura, just recite the confession from the Quran. And Haridāsa Ṭhākura said, and my body may be cut out into many, many pieces, but I will never give up to chanting of Harinam. And then after that, the Qazi ordered that Haridāsa Ṭhākura be beaten in 22 marketplaces. And then it's further described by Vrindavan Das Ṭhākura how many people tried to stop the beating. Many people came to the people who were beating and told them, we'll give you money if you don't beat him so severely. and the other sadhus, they cursed the Kazi and the king and the people who were beating Haridāsa Ṭhākura, that they will suffer. And ultimately, by Haridāsa Ṭhākura's association, the people who were beating him, they fell down at the feet of Haridāsa Ṭhākura and they begged for forgiveness. And they told Haridāsa Ṭhākura, if you don't die, the Kazi and the king will beat us and they'll kill us. And so Haridāsa Ṭhākura chanted the holy name and then went into trance. And so they informed the king and the Kazi, and they thought that Haridāsa Ṭhākura had died. And so they decided what to do with the body. Now they thought maybe we'll give him a burial, but the Kazi said no. According to Islam, if he gets a burial, he'll attain a higher destination. So we should throw him into the Ganga, which is inauspicious for Muslims. So they threw the body of Haridāsa Ṭhākura into the Ganga, and then the Ganga went on the, and then the body of Haridāsa Ṭhākura went to the other side of the Ganga. And then Haridāsa Ṭhākura came out of his trance and started chanting Harinam again. And then somehow or other the other Muslims or the other Yavanas found out about it, and they informed the Kazi and the king. And then the other people came and offered obeisances to Haridāsa Ṭhākura and begged for forgiveness. And Vrindavan Das Ṭhākura describes that simply remembering the pastimes of Haridāsa Ṭhākura, one will be benefited, and that all the Yavanas, and Vrindavan Das Ṭhākura said, what to speak of all the Brahmins and Sadhus? Even the Yavanas became astounded and offered obeisances to Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura.
Yes.
And I don't remember what happened there afterwards. I think the Kazi died or something.
We're gonna read now about what the what the effect of Vaiṣṇava-aparādha is. What happens to the prisoners. Sorry, the people who are beating Haridāsa Ṭhākura, what the result that they got also. That's what we're gonna read about right now. In today's reading.
Sorry, excuse me a second. Do you remember when Lord Chaitanya enters the body of Haridāsa Ṭhākura, he becomes so heavy, and I can't remember how did they put him in the water.
Yeah. And they couldn't push him. They couldn't even move him, right? In the very beginning.
Right. Yeah. And for some reason, I can't remember what happened. How did they manage to put his body in the water?
Yeah, me either, actually. I forgot that. Let's read the Śrīla Bhakti, because we're reading a little bit by little bit. Śrīla Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj's the Kathasar, the synopsis. Maybe he'll mention there, and then okay. Let's see.
Okay.
Okay. So Okay, so being maddened with love of Krishna in the form of chanting his holy names, Haridas was, more than anyone, free from the least inclination for things other than Krishna. Seeing his pure transformations of ecstasy, the Brahman community of Pulia began to show him special respect. At that time, the most sinful Qazi complained against Haridas to the Mohammedan king, that although Haridas was born in a Mohammedan family, he followed and preached the names of the Hindus' God. When men came to take Haridas to the king, he fearlessly accompanied them to his court, considering if we get darshan of Haridas in the prison house, then our pains of miserable prison life will be vanquished. Thinking this, the prisoners humbly and submissively informed the prison guards about their desire to see Haridāsa Ṭhākura. Śrī Haridas also informs the prisoners that their present condition of freedom from material enjoyment was favorable for worshipping Lord Śrī Hari, and instructed them to always engage in all conditions in Krishna's service, which is the soul's real independence. That's the real freedom. When the Mohammedan king asked Haridas why he took to the Hindu religion, Haridāsa Ṭhākura replied that the Supreme Lord is one non-dual substance, and he belongs to everyone. He is situated in everyone's heart as the director, and the living entity acts in whatever way the Lord inspires him. By the request of the most sinful Qazi, the Mohammedan king advised Haridāsa to accept his own religion, and failing which, he would be severely punished. But Haridāsa replied that even if his body was cut into pieces and his life air left the body, he would never give up his swadharma in the form of chanting the holy names of Hari. In other words, he would never, in any condition, give up the living entity's constitutional duties. Although by the order of the Qazi, the miscreants mercilessly beat Haridāsa in 22 marketplaces, no sign of death or any misery was found in the body of Haridāsa. Seeing this, the sinful followers of the king became very astonished. Why is he not dying? Usually the person would die after only 2 or 3 marketplaces, but 22 marketplaces. What? So Haridāsa was constantly engaged in the ecstasy of chanting the holy names of the Lord. Therefore, like Prahlad, he did not feel any misery in spite of such beating. On the contrary, he felt sorry for the unfortunate miscreants who were committing grave offenses by torturing a Vaishnava. Haridāsa thus prayed to the Lord to forgive their offenses. Hearing that the sinful followers of the king would be severely punished due to being unable to kill him, Haridāsa entered into ecstatic meditation and appeared to be dead. The Qazi considered, doesn't explain here. Oh, no, it does. Okay. The Qazi considered that if Haridāsa was buried, he would attain a higher destination. Therefore, he ordered his followers to throw Haridāsa into the Ganga for his degradation. Since Vaiṣṇava was present in the body of Haridāsa at that time, in spite of everyone's endeavor, they could not move him even an inch. I guess after some time, then he they just want maybe that was just to show that Haridāsa wasn't an ordinary person, and then afterwards, it's like once they realized that, then I don't know. Then after being thrown into the Ganga, Haridāsa floated to the bank. He gained his consciousness and came to the village of Phulia while loudly chanting the holy names of Krishna. Seeing this opulence of Haridāsa, the Mohammedans considered him a great prophet and began to offer him obeisances. Even the Mohammedan king glorified Haridāsa and begged him for forgiveness with folded hands, and then gave Haridāsa permission to chant the holy names of Krishna and freely wander anywhere within his kingdom. Okay, so that's what we read yesterday. And now today we're reading, when the Brahmanas of Phulia again saw Haridāsa, they became extremely joyful. Out of humility, Haridāsa said that only by good fortune had he received a token punishment for his great offense of hearing blasphemy of Lord Vishnu. Haridāsa then began to chant the holy names 300,000 times a day within a cave on the bank of the Ganga. A fierce poisonous snake lived within that cave. Therefore, no one could remain there for a long time due to feeling a burning sensation from the intense poison. When the snake bite doctors came to know of the snake's presence within the cave, they requested Haridāsa to leave the place. When, on everyone's request, Haridāsa consented to leave the cave the following day, the snake came out of his hole and left the cave that very evening. One day, in a rich man's house, a snake-charmer was glorifying Krishna's pastimes at Kaliyadaha. As soon as Haridāsa heard the glories of Krishna, he fell unconscious on the ground. Pure ecstatic transformations manifested in his transcendental body. Everyone began to take dust from Haridāsa's feet and smear it all over their bodies. Seeing this, a cheating, low-class Brahmin began to display artificial emotions by imitating Haridāsa in order to gain more prestige. When the snake charmer understood the duplicity of the pseudo-Brahmana, he severely beat him with a stick. Then the Brahmin helplessly left that place. The snake charmer then explained to everyone the authenticity of Haridāsa and the duplicity of the pseudo-Brahmana. The atheists at that time were opposed to the loud chanting of the holy names. Okay, so that's where we're reading up to today. We'll read the rest tomorrow. Haribol, say Shri Mataji. Okay, so let's start. What verse is it? We're reading from verse 159 to 229. Okay. I already opened this. I did. Okay. 159. What was the previous verse? Let's just see the last few verses. Okay, so after Haridas floated in the Ganga for some time, he regained his external consciousness by the will of the Lord. He then came to the shore and got out of the water in great ecstasy. In this way, he started for Phulya while loudly chanting the names of Krishna. Seeing the extraordinary potency of Haridas, the Muslims' minds changed and they forgot their envy. The Muslims considered Haridas a powerful saint, so they offered him obeisances. Thus, they were all delivered from material bondage. They considered him a pir, which is, that's a saint in Islam, it's a pir. Sometime after regaining his consciousness, Haridas met the king of Bengal and laughed mercifully. Kripahas, merciful laugh. With great awe and reverence, the king folded his hands and humbly said to Haridas, Now I know for certain that you are a powerful saint. You are a Mahapir. For you are firmly convinced that the Supreme Lord is one. Ekagyan tomar she hoyache stir. All the so-called yogis and jnanis simply speak big words, but you have actually attained perfection. Oh, sir, I have personally come to meet you. Therefore, please forgive all my offenses. You are equal to everyone, both friends and enemy, but there is no one in the three worlds who can understand you. You are free to go wherever you wish. You may go stay in a cave on the bank of the Ganga or wherever you desire. Now you may stay wherever you like and do whatever you please. What to speak of the upper classes, on seeing the lotus feet of Haridas Thakur, even the Muslims forgot themselves. They had angrily taken him to be killed, but they ultimately accepted him as a powerful saint, as a pir. After glancing mercifully on the Muslims, Thakur Haridas entered Phulya. So that's how we ended yesterday. Uchakori Hari Nama loite loite, Ailen Haridasa Brahmana Sabhate, Haridase dekhi Phuliyar Vipragan, Shave hoila ati paranandaman, Haridvani Vipragan lagila korite, Haridasa lagilen anande nachite. As he loudly chanted the names of Hari, he arrived before an assembly of Brahmanas. Seeing Haridas, the Brahmins were filled with happiness. The Brahmanas then began to chant the names of Hari, and Haridas began to dance in ecstasy. Gaudiya Bhashya by Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada. Being relieved from the torture and repression of the king and the Qazi, and in order to benefit the Brahmana community of Phulya, Thakur Haridas arrives there while loudly chanting the names of Hari. Due to narrow-minded sectarianism and social aversion towards devotional service, some so-called Brahmanas did not previously consider it proper to accept Haridas as a spiritual master for awarding the holy names, as the Namacharya. But now, after hearing about his extraordinary unlimited prowess, all the prestigious Brahmanas accepted him as the giver of the holy names, which are none different from the Lord himself. all of them happily began to respect Haridas. Arbuta Ananta Haridaser Vikar Ashru Kampa Hasya Murcha Pulaka Hunkar. Haridas displayed endless ecstatic transformations like crying, shivering, laughing, falling unconscious, hairs standing on end, and roaring. Achara Kayen Haridasa Prema Rase Dekhiya Brahmanagan Mahanande Bhase. Then, in ecstatic love, Haridas crashed to the ground. Seeing this, the Brahmanas began to float in ecstasy. Stira hoy Krishna Kaneke Bosila Haridas Vipragana Bosilen Bedi Charipash. After a while, when Haridas became pacified, the Brahmanas sat around him. Haridasa bolen Shunoho Vipragan Dukhana Babiho Kichu Amar Karan. Haridas then said, O Brahmanas, please listen. Do not feel sorry for me. Prabhu Ninda Amije Shunilu Apar Tar Shasti Korilen Ishvara Amar. I have heard so much blasphemy from the Lord. That is why he has punished me. Gaudiya Bhashya. While considering himself an ordinary conditioned soul, forced to enjoy the fruits of karma, Haridas humbly said, I had to hear topics that were averse to the Lord as punishment for my previous misdeeds and aversion to the Lord. Due to my tolerance, I did not adequately protest the harsh statements of persons who are averse to the Lord. That is why the Lord has awarded this punishment to me. The Lord awards severe punishments to those who, even after hearing blasphemy against the Lord and his devotees, do not protest in order to make a show of tolerance. Even after hearing blasphemous words against Hari, Guru, and Vaishnav, the Prakrit Sahajiyas attempts to justify their abominable, mean, duplicitous nature as Vaishnava etiquette. So even after hearing blasphemous words against Hari, Guru, and Vaishnava, the Prakrit Sahajiyas attempt to justify their abominable, mean, duplicitous nature as Vaishnava etiquette. This guarantees their frightful degradation. Thakur Haridas was truly the highest ideal of tolerance. And because the deceitful Prakrit Sahajiya Sampradaya tries to artificially imitate the quality of his tolerance, they ultimately achieve various miseries in life. We'll read at the end of this of our reading today. We're going to read about somebody who tried to imitate Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura, his qualities. Since the Mahabhagavat Paramahansa Vaishnava is personally free from the blasphemy of others, he does not possess the external mundane urges to blaspheme or praise, or to talk unnecessarily or gossip. But since the Prakrit Sahajiyas are not situated on such an exalted platform, their endeavors to imitate result in abominable duplicity. Therefore, they inevitably suffer miseries. In order to preach this topic to the deceitful Prakrit Sahajiya Sampradayas, Haridas Thakur, like an ordinary human being, evoked the philosophy of enjoying fruitive results. The Prakrit Sahajiyas are forced to enjoy the fruits of their activities. But Haridas Thakur, the crest jewel among liberated souls and a chanter of the holy names of Hari, is certainly not forced to enjoy the fruits of his activities. Srila Rupa Goswami Pad has described this topic in his Nam Ashtak number 4 as follows. What's the meter for this again? Yad Brahma Shakshat Kriti Nishtayapi Vinasham Ayati Vinana Bhogai Apaiti Nama Spuranena Tatte Prarabdha Karmeti Viroti Veda. The seeds of sinful activities that cause rebirth for their fruition. The seeds of sinful activities that cause rebirth for their fruition are not totally destroyed. despite realization of oneness with Brahman through constant meditation. One's prarabdha karma, saying, is not destroyed, even by realization of Brahman. But, O Lord, as soon as your holy names manifest on the tongue, even in a form of namabhas, all seeds of sinful activities are totally uprooted. This is elaborately glorified in the Vedas. So Haridāsa Ṭhākura continues, Bhalo hoilo ite boro, pailun santosh, alpa shasti kori komilen boro dosh. I am satisfied, for whatever happened to me was for my benefit. The Lord has relieved me of my great offense by awarding me a token punishment. Gaudiya Bhashya. Those who, even after hearing the blasphemy of Vishnu and the Vaishnavas, display their cleverness by posing as advanced and liberal on the pretext of artificial gentleness or tolerance, without understanding the real purport of Taror api Sahisnu, being more tolerant than a tree. Those people are understood to be enjoying the result of their grave offenses. One should not consider such grave offenses as trivial, and one should not consider such grave offenses as trivial and advertise sense gratification aimed at accumulating mundane fame as worship of Hari. For this reason, in order to instruct the people of the world, Jagat Guru Thakur Haridas pointed out the great faults of the foolish Prakrita Sahajias who display artificial humility by humbly saying, I have heard blasphemy of Hari, Guru, and Vaishnava without hesitation. Therefore, I am a great offender. Since I did not protest, it would have been proper if Hari, Guru, and Vaishnava had awarded me more severe punishment. But the Lord is most merciful. He awarded me only the token punishment of being inhumanely tortured by the servants of the king, and thus freed me from the offenses born from blasphemy of Vishnu and the Vaishnavas. In this way he has proved himself as causelessly merciful, by which my happiness and satisfaction is increased. In the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 10.14.8, Lord Brahma prays to the Lord as follows. Tateno kampam sushamikṣamano bhunjana evatma kritam vipakam hridvag vapurbhir videdan namaste Jivetayo mukti pade sadai bhak. My dear Lord, one who earnestly waits for you to bestow your causeless mercy upon him, all the while patiently suffering the reactions of his past misdeeds and offering you respectful obeisances with his heart, words, and body, is surely eligible for liberation, for it has become his rightful claim. In order to distort and change the meaning and purport of this Bhagavatam verse, I failed to protest. That was my greatest mistake. Haridāsa Ṭhākura continues, Kumbhipaka hoy Vishnu nindana shravane, taha ami vistar shunilu papa kane. One who hears blasphemy of Lord Vishnu is sent to the hell known as Kumbhipaka. And with my sinful ears, I heard so much blasphemy of the Lord. Gaudiya Bhashya. It is stated in the scriptures that an atheist who hears blasphemy of the Supreme Lord, but does not protest, attains the most painful hell known as Kumbhipaka after death. In the Śrīmad Bhagavatam 4.4.17, Sati spoke to Prajapati Daksha as follows. She said, if one hears an irresponsible person blaspheme the master and controller of religion, one should block his ears and go away if unable to punish him. But if one is able to kill, then one should by force cut out the blasphemer's tongue and kill the offender. And after that, one should give up his own life. This is a devotee's only remedy. Whew, that is really intense. Oh my God. Okay. In the Bhakti Sandarbha 265, it is stated, If one hears blasphemy of Vishnu and the Vaishnavas, he incurs great sin. Oh yeah, this is a great verse. Nindam bhagavata shringvangs tat parasya janasya va tato na paite yasopi yatyada sukritachchuta. This is an important verse to memorize. Anyone who fails to immediately leave a place where criticism of the Supreme Lord or his faithful devotee is heard will certainly fall down, bereft of his pious credit. Only an incapable person should leave that place. Only an incapable person should leave that place. Otherwise, a capable person must cut out the tongue of one who blasphemes Vishnu and the Vaishnavas. If one is incapable of doing either, then he should give up his body. Oof. And I think at least for now, like for us now, cutting out the tongue, I don't think it's a good idea if you physically cut out somebody's tongue. But by cutting out their tongue, you mean you cut their arguments or whatever. You don't just remain quiet, but you speak up. That's a way of cutting out somebody's tongue, figuratively. Okay, Yoga. Yeah, and Kishore Krishna says, cutting the tongue means leaving them speechless. Yes. Okay. Yogya Shasti Korilen Ishvara Tahar Heno Papa Arjeno Nahe Punarbar. Therefore, the Lord has given me an appropriate punishment so that I may not commit such sins in the future. Gaudiya Bhashya. One second, just checking. Haribo Govinda Saha. Also, I saw you yesterday and I forgot to say anything. Yeah. And Hare Krishna Shah Sharmaji. Hare Krishna. Okay. So therefore, the Lord has given me an appropriate punishment so that I may not commit such sins in the future. Gaudiya Bhashya. With the imitative Prakrit Sahajya Sampradayas in mind, Haridas spoke the following words of instruction. As a Vaishnav, I will never again hear blasphemy against Vishnu and the Vaishnavas under the shelter of Trinada Pisunichata, or on the pretext of Toror Apisohishnuta. I have had a sufficient lesson this time. The Lord is most merciful. He taught me by awarding a token punishment for a grave offense. Due to misfortune, the Prakrit Sahajya Sampradayas, who are offenders of the holy names, cannot understand the actual purport and substance of these statements of Thakur Haridas. He nomate Haridasa Vipragana Shange Nirbhaye Koren Sankirtana Maharange. Thereafter, Haridas and the Brahmanas fearlessly enjoyed congregationally chanting the holy names of the Lord. Kahane o dukha dilo je sab javane sabangshe uchanna tara hoilo koto dine. The Yavanas who had beaten Haridas, as well as their families, were all destroyed within a few days. Gaudiya Bhashya. The sinful atheist Yavanas soon achieved the miserable results obtained by persons who torture and envy Vaishnavas. In the Skanda Puran it is stated, Hanti nindati vaidveshti Vaishnavan nabhinandati krudhyate yati no harsham darshane patanani shat. Whoever kills or blasphemes a Vaishnav, whoever is envious of or angry with a Vaishnav, and whoever does not offer obeisances or feel joy upon seeing a Vaishnav certainly falls into a hellish condition. According to this infallible scriptural decree, the Yavanas, along with their families, were soon destroyed by severe diseases like cholera or smallpox. cholera or smallpox, sorry. We just, yesterday, Padmanabha Maharaj's class went on till like 3 o'clock almost. But he gave a class going through this article by Bhaktivinoda Thakur called the Vaiṣṇava-aparādha. And he went through this verse in depth. There's a verse before it also. Tabe Haridāsa Ganga tire gofa kori Thaken virale ahar nisha Krishna smari. Then Haridas went and found a cave on the bank of the Ganga. He remembered Krishna day and night as he resided alone in the cave. Gaudiya Bhashya. While remaining in a solitary cave on the bank of the Ganga at Pulia, Śrīla Thakur Mahashai loudly chanted the names of Krishna and passed his days and nights remembering the pastimes of the Lord. Sometimes he would chant the 16 name, the 32-syllable Mahamantra loudly, and sometimes he would chant softly. Every day he would complete the chanting of 300,000 holy names, or in a year he would chant 100 million names of Hari. Many people considered chanting the names of Krishna in a solitary place in the category of upankshu japa, or chanting very softly. They say that this Mahamantra, or chanting of the holy names of the Lord, should not be heard by others. Only the person who is chanting should hear. If the lips move, or if the holy names are recited, then the names of Krishna will automatically be heard by others. But if one lacks faith in the Vaishnavas who chant the holy names of the Lord, then by the influence of Kali, he may dare to quarrel with those Vaishnava chanters. Whenever the pure names of the Lord are glorified and chanted by sadhus who have taken full shelter of the names, and those names do not enter the ears of others, it is called Nirjan Bhajan. Such chanting of the names of Hari in a solitary place is intended only for one's own benefit. Therefore, such chanting yields no benefit for others. Even if the fixed number of holy names regularly chanted by a person who is inclined to the service of the Lord are chanted in a solitary place, faithful persons may still take advantage by secretly hearing from a distance. On the platform of Madhyam Adhikar, one may have to associate with worldly people while preaching the holy names in the course of Jive Doya, showing compassion to the living entities. But since he preaches the holy names with the utmost attention, he does not become affected by the sinful reactions of the audience. Rather, he distributes mercy by removing the contamination of their sinful reactions. If while chanting the holy names of the Lord with his many disciples, a Madhyam Adhikari becomes more or less affected by the reactions of their karma, then his fall down is assured. According to the statement, Jivan Mukta Api Punar Yanti Sangsara Vasanam, a person considered liberated in this life can again fall down and desire the material atmosphere for material enjoyment. So according to that statement, that one may fall down to the material atmosphere, even a Madhyam Adhikari chanter of the holy names, he can also again fall down into material existence. That is why mundane pride in a form of worldly association and accepting many disciples, that simply produces kupal, or evil results. While describing the topics of Haridāsa Thakur's devotional service, the injunction for loudly chanting and attentively hearing the holy names has been prescribed for practitioners who desire their own welfare in order to deliver from great inauspiciousness those who mistakenly consider satisfying their own senses as satisfying Hari, while remaining busy in activities of sense gratification, such as accepting many disciples, like the immature yogis. Shinvata Shraddhaya Nityam Grinnatascha Svacheshtitam Kalena Natidirgena Bhagavan Vishate Hridi. Persons who hear Śrīmad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very, very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time. According to the purport of this verse from Śrīmad Bhagavatam 284, Thakur Mahashai, who is the Jagat Guru Vaiṣṇavācharya and the best of the liberated souls, has taught people in general the process of remembering the pastimes of Krishna, while personally chanting and hearing the holy names of Krishna in the course of realizing that Krishna is non-different from his names, forms, qualities, associates, paraphernalia, and pastimes. Those who give up hearing and loud chanting of the holy names received from the mouths of devotees, free from nama-aparādha, and in order to gratify their senses, who display artificial imitation of remembering the pastimes of the Lord in their impure enjoyment-prone hearts. Their attempts to imitate remembrance of the Lord's pastimes in this way is simply thirst for material enjoyment born from aversion to the Lord. Tin lakha naam dine koren grahan, gonfa hoilo tar jeno Vaikuntha bhavan. He would chant the holy name of the Lord 300,000 times a day, 3 lakhs, and his cave was thus transformed into Vaikuntha. Gaudiya Bhashya. The cave in which the pure-hearted great preacher Harinamacharya Thakur Mahashai, that cave in which he loudly chanted the transcendental sounds of the holy names of Lord Hari, that cave transformed into a place of Lord Krishna's pastimes, or Vaikuntha, according to the purport of the following statement of a Mahajan, of Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Che dina grihe bhajana deki grihete goloka bhai. No, that's not a proper translation. It means Jedin, that day in which I see bhajan in the house being performed in my house, then grihete goloka bhai, then my house transforms into Goloka, becomes completely Goloka bhai. Yes. When I see bhajan being performed in the house, that house becomes transformed into Goloka. Mahanaga boisheshe gopar bitore, tar jwala prani matre sahite na pare. A huge snake lived within that cave, and no living entity could tolerate the burning atmosphere produced from its poison. Haridāsa Ṭhākura sambhāsha korite, jotek aishe keho na pare rahite. As a result, anyone who visited Haridas in his cave could not stay for more than a few moments. Parama visher jwala shabe payen, Haridasa puna iha kichu na danen. They all felt intense burning from the poison, but Haridas was again completely oblivious. Boshiya koren jukti sarva vipra gane, Haridasa ashrame etika jwala kene. The Brahmanas sat down together and considered, what is that burning sensation in Haridasa's cave? She phuliyai boishe mahavadyagan, tara asi janile sarper karan. There were some expert physicians living in Pulya. When they came there, they could understand the burning sensation was due to the presence of a snake. Vaidya boli lekka gopar tolai, eka mahanaga ache tahar jwalai. A physician said, "There is a big snake somewhere inside the cave." Rahite na pare keho, kahilo nishchoy, Haridasa satvare, chalun anyashray. No one can remain here due to the effects of its poison. This is our assurance. Therefore, Haridas should immediately go somewhere else. Gaudiya Bhashya. Those who came to see Thakur Haridasa and his bhajan kutir felt great distress due to the burning poison of the snake. They could not understand where the burning heat was coming from. Later on, they brought snakebite doctors and found out that a snake lived within a hole in Haridas Thakur's kutir. Due to excessive heat from the burning poison, no one could stay there for any length of time. But Haridas Thakur, who was solely attached to the chanting of the holy names and who never wasted a moment, did not feel any inconvenience at all. Considering that it is never proper to live with a cruel, deceitful, fierce, poisonous snake, the visitors requested Haridas to shift to another place. Sarper sahit basa kabu jukta noy, chalo shabe kohi giya tahan ashray. It is not wise to live with a snake, O Haridas. Let us go to his cave. Sorry, they were speaking amongst themselves. It is not wise to live with a snake. Let us go to his cave and inform him. Tabe shabe asi Haridasa Ṭhākura kohilo vritanta she gopachari bare. Then they all went to see Haridas to explain the situation and request him to move. Mahanaga boshe e gopar vitare, tahar jwalai keha rahite na pare. They said, "There is a big snake living in this cave, and no one can remain here due to the effect of its poison. Ataiva estane rohite yogya noy, anyastane asitumi koroho ashray." Therefore, it is not wise to live here. Please find another place to stay. Haridasa bolen anekadina achi, kona jwala visha e gophai nahi basi. Haridas replied, "I have been staying in this cave for many days, but I've never felt any burning sensation." Shabe dukha tomara je na paro sahite, eteke cholimo kali ami je she bhite, satya jadi ihate thaken mahashay, teho jadi kali na charen e alay, tobe ami kali chari jaimu sarvata, chintanai tomra boloho Krishna gatha. But since you are all suffering and unable to tolerate the burning of the poison, I will leave tomorrow for another place. If there is a snake in this cave and it doesn't leave by tomorrow, then I will leave and go to some other place. Do not worry. Let us all chant Krishna's names. Gaudiya Bhashya. In reply, Haridas said, "I have no inconvenience due to the burning poison of the snake. But since all of you are concerned about me, I will leave this place for your benefit and satisfaction. Either I or the snake will leave this cave tomorrow. All of you should give up unnecessary talking that is not related to Krishna, and constantly sing you should all constantly sing the glories of Krishna." Regarding the second half of verse 188, one should discuss Maharaj Parikshit's statement to the innumerable Rajarshis, Maharshis, and Devarshis, and Brahmarshis in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 1.19.15. There, in Śrīmad Bhagavatam 1.19.15, it says, "O Brahmanas, just accept me as a completely surrendered soul, and let Mother Ganga and let Mother Ganga, the representative of the Lord, also accept me in that way, for I have already taken the lotus feet of the Lord into my heart. Let the snake bird, or whatever magical thing the Brahman created, bite me at once. I only desire that you all continue singing the deeds of Lord Vishnu. E mata Krishna katha mangala kirtane, thakite arbhuta ati hoi lok shekhane. As soon as they began to perform kirtan, a wonderful incident took place. Haridasa chariben shuniya bachan, mahanaga charilen sthana shekhan. Hearing that Haridas was prepared to leave the cave, the large snake immediately left. Garta hoite uthi sarpa sandhyar praveshe, sabe dekhen chalilen anya deshe. It was early evening as everyone there saw the snake leave the cave. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Sandhyar Praveshe means in the evening, or as the night approached. Parama Arbhuta Sarpa Mahabhayankar Pitanya. Sorry, I need to stand up. Oh, I just fell asleep mid. Parama Arbhuta Sarpa Mahabhayankar Pitanyila Shuklavarna Parama Sundar. The large, wonderful snake looked most fearful, yet it was also very beautiful, being colored yellow, blue, and white. Isn't that neat? A yellow, blue, and white snake. Mahamani jwaliteche mastaka upare, dekhi bhaye vipragan, Krishna Krishna smare. As the Brahmanas saw the brilliant jewel adorning its head, they fearfully remembered Krishna. Sarpa se chaliya gelo, jwala nahi ar, vipragan hoilen, santosha apar. After the snake left that place, the Brahmanas were overjoyed to find the burning sensation was gone. Deki Haridāsa Ṭhākura Mahashakti Vipraganir Janmila Visheshatare Bhakti. They all appreciated Haridasa's marvelous potency, and they developed great devotion for him. Okay, now I'm going to stand up. One second. I had a bad night last night, and I woke up at 3 something this morning, so that's why I'm a bit. Okay. Gaudiya Bhashya. Seeing the departure of the great snake by the influence of Haridāsa Ṭhākura's influence and magnanimity, even many atheistic non-devotee Brahmanas who were attached to yogic perfections developed special respect for him. The seminal Brahmanas who are obliged to enjoy the fruits of their karma and eligible for Yamaraja's punishment thought, due to one's previous misdeeds, a living entity takes birth in a family lower than that of Brahmanas. Similarly, due to the previous misdeeds of Haridas has taken birth in a Muslim family. Therefore, he is certainly inferior to the pious mundane Brahmanas. That's what they thought before. But now, seeing he has easily achieved mystic opulence, But now, seeing his easily achieved mystic opulence, this mystic opulence who stands before Haridas with folded hands awaiting his instructions, the Brahmanas accepted him as the best of the Brahmanas. Haridāsa Ṭhākurer ekon prabhav, jar vakya matre sthana charile kanaga. It is not very glorious that a snake left its cave simply on the request of Haridāsa Ṭhākura. Gaudiya Bhashya. Only persons who are envious of others, who are attached to sense gratification, who are averse to Hari, and who cause anxiety to other living entities, only those people are bitten by snakes. What to speak of causing anxiety, envy, or fear? A Mahabhagavat Vaishnava like Thakur Haridas has such great influence that even the most envious, fierce, poisonous snake humbly carries out his order. Jar drishti matre chhade avidya bandhan Krishna lala langhana Haridāsa vachan. Simply by his glance, one's bondage born of nescience is destroyed. Even Lord Krishna does not transgress the words of Haridas. Gaudiya Bhashya. Only one who is blessed by Haridāsa Ṭhākura is able to constantly chant the names of Hari and take shelter of the pure holy names without committing offenses. And thus his contamination of ignorance, which is the root of material enjoyment, is totally uprooted. As a result of serving Haridāsa Ṭhākura and receiving his mercy, the Supreme Lord becomes, as a result of serving Haridāsa Ṭhākura and receiving his mercy, the Supreme Lord becomes obliged. Okay, so now we're going to come to this is the last story that we're reading for today. Ādi-khaṇḍa shunotan arbhuta akhyan nagaraja je kohila mahima tahan. Now please hear another wonderful incident that was narrated by the king of the snakes. Ekadina boro eka loker mandire sarpakhotor dankanache vivida prakare. One day, a snake charmer was dancing in the courtyard of one wealthy man. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase sarpakhota refers to being bitten by a snake, or it also refers to a snake charmer who is possessed by the predominating deity of the snakes, Vasuki, who is invoked by mantras when one is bitten by non-poisonous. It also refers to a snake charmer who is possessed by Vasuki, who is the king of snakes, who is invoked by mantras when one is bitten by a non-poisonous snake. The word danka derives from the Hindi word dank, meaning hood or stinger, refers to the person who makes a snake dance, or in other words, a snake charmer. Mridandira gita tar mantra ghore danka bedi sabe gayen uchai sware. The associates played the mridanga and a flute used for snake charming, as they loudly sang on all sides of the snake charmer. The snake charmer was absorbed under the influence of some mantras that he was chanting. Gaudiya Bhashya. The first line of this verse refers to singing to the accompaniment of musical instruments like the mridanga and cymbals, or to be maddened, overwhelmed, or absorbed in the snake charmer's chanting of mantras. Daivagati tattai aila Haridas Dankanritya dekhen hoya ekapash. By providence, Haridas came there and began to watch the snake charmer from the side. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Daivagati means without any purpose, or by one's own sweet will. Manusha sharire naga raja mantra bole, adishtan hoya nachaye kutuhale. By the power of the mantras chanted by the snake charmer, the king of snakes had appeared in the body of the snake charmer and was happily dancing. So Vasuki appeared in the body of the snake charmer and was happily dancing. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Nagaraj refers to Shesh, the devotee of Lord Vishnu, Ananta, or it refers to Vasuki. The word Adishtan means situated or possessed. Okay, so it's Ananta or Vasuki. Kaliya dahe kori len je natya. Sorry. Kaliya dahe kori len je natya ishvare. She gita gayen karunya uchasware. The snake charmer was loudly and sweetly singing about Krishna's dance in the Kaliya lake. Gaudiya Bhashya. The phrase Kaliya Dahe refers to the particular lake within the Kalindi river named Kaliya Daha. Being afraid of Garuda, the fierce poisonous snake named Kaliya, the son of Kadru and Kashyapa, lived there with his family. For a description of this great snake, Kaliya, and the pastimes of Krishna subduing this Kaliya by dancing on his heads in the Kaliya Daha, for a description of that, one should see Śrīmad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, Chapter 15, verses 47 to 52, Chapter 16, verses 1 to 12, and Chapter 17, verses 1 to 12 again. As Krishna, the master of all arts, danced on the heads of Kaliya at Kaliya Daha, the snake charmer imitated that dance while loudly singing songs about the great mercy that Krishna gave to Kaliya on the pretext of awarding punishment. Shuni nija prabhur mahima Haridas, porila murchita hoy kotha nahi shwas. Koneke Chaitanya pai koriya hunkar, anande lagila nritya korite apar. Haridas Thakurer avesha dekhiya, ek bhita hoy danka rohilen giya. Karagari jayen Thakur Haridas, arbhuta pulaka ashu kamper prakash. Rodana koren Haridasa mahashai, shuniya prabhur guna hoila tanmoy. As Haridas heard the glorious pastimes of the Lord, he fell unconscious to the ground, and his breath stopped. When he regained consciousness some moments later, he roared loudly and began to dance in ecstasy. Seeing Haridas's ecstatic mood, the snake charmer stopped his dancing and stood off to the side. Thakur Haridas rolled on the ground, and wonderful ecstatic symptoms like hair standing on end, crying, and shivering became manifest in his body. Haridas was fully absorbed in ecstatic love after hearing the transcendental qualities of the Lord, and tears of love flowed from his eyes. Gaudiya Bhashya. Overwhelmed by the snake charmer's songs describing Krishna's mercy, Haridas Thakur fell unconscious due to an awakening of love of God. Even symptoms of external consciousness, like breathing, could not be found in his body. After a while, he regains his external consciousness, and he roared loudly and began to dance in ecstatic love of God. Seeing Mahabhagavat Vaishnava Thakur Haridas dance in the mood of love seeing him dance in the mood of love for Radha Krishna, the snake charmer, who was possessed by Anantadev, respectfully stood aside. Being absorbed in hearing and remembering Krishna's incomparably great quality of mercy on the fierce cruel serpent Kaliya, Thakur Haridas became absorbed in love of Krishna and began to roll on the ground and cry in his transcendental body. He began to cry as his transcendental body manifested tears, shivering, and hairs standing on end. Okay, 1 second, just checking something. Okay, sorry. Haridase bedi shabe gayen harishe, jo rahaste rahi danka deke ekapashe. Oh, I just read that, sorry. Then everyone surrounded Haridas joyfully began chanting Krishna's glory, while the snake charmer respectfully stood to the side with the folded hands. Kshanike rahila Haridaser abesh, puna asi dankanrite korila prabesh. After Haridas returned to external consciousness, the snake charmer again began to dance. Okay. Haridasa Ṭhākurer dekiya avesh, sabe hoila ati ananda vishesh. Everyone was overwhelmed with joy after seeing Haridasa's ecstatic absorption. Jekhane poroe tar charaner dhuli, shabe lepe nonge hoi kutuhali. They all eagerly took the dust from his footprints and smeared it on their bodies. Ar eka-dhanga vipra thaki she khane, mui onachimu aji gane mane mane, bhujilaya nachile abodha barbare, alpa manushere o parama bhakti kore, eto bhavi she khane achara kaiya, korilo jeheno maha acheshta hoiya. Je matra porilo danker nritasthane, marite lagila danka mahakrodhamane. Ashe pashe ghare mure betrer prahar, nirghata maraye danka rakha nahi ar. Betrer prahare dvija jar jara hoiya, bapa bapa boli sheshe gelo polaiya. One pseudo-Brahmin who was in the audience thought, I will also dance today. Even an illiterate fool who dances like, So he said, I will also dance today. Even an illiterate fool who dances like he's in ecstasy is greatly respected by the common people. Thinking in this way, he immediately crashed to the ground and became motionless. As soon as the pseudo-Brahmin fell near the dancing snake charmer, the snake charmer became angry and began severely beating the Brahmin with a stick. After being beaten with a stick all over the body, the anguished Brahmin ran away, screaming, Father, Father! Bap, bap. Gaudiya Bhashya. The word Dhanga Vipra refers to that pseudo-Brahmin who was a hypocritical, deceitful, cheating, artificial, imitative Prakrit Sahajya, and the lowest of the Brahmanas. Being puffed up with the pride of being a Brahman and being induced by his polluted intelligence, that pseudo-Brahman tried to artificially imitate the transcendental characteristics of Mahabhagavat Vaiṣṇava Haridāsa. He considered, due to their blind faith, whenever ordinary foolish people see or hear any dancing or singing in a petty religious function, they offer abundant respect. Therefore, since people offer such respect to Haridāsa Ṭhākura, who is an ordinary human being born in a non-Hindu family, while I am born in the topmost varna in Hindu society, so if I can imitate the characteristics and 8 ecstatic transformations of a Vaiṣṇava Ṭhākura's love, like an actor on a stage, then no one can estimate how much profit, adoration, and distinction I will achieve. When people respect an ordinary human being and non-seminal Brahman like Haridāsa Ṭhākura so much just by seeing his display of petty and ordinary emotions, then if I, the son of a seminal Brahmana, can simply mimic his transcendental emotions, I cannot imagine how much profit, adoration, and distinction I will receive. If I exhibit artificial emotions, then my insignificant material fame will certainly surpass the fame of the transcendental Vaishnava. Thinking in this way, in order to exhibit artificial sentiments, that atheistic, hypocritical Prakrit Sahajya suddenly fell on the ground and artificially pretended to be unconscious. As soon as that pseudo-Brahman deceitfully exhibited artificial sentiments by which one is naturally bound to slip and fall, then the snake charmer understood his deceitfulness and saw him as a disturbance and an obstruction to his own dancing, and therefore the snake charmer began to beat him severely. He incessantly, severely, and mercilessly beats that atheist on his shoulders, head, and other bodily limbs. Due to the excessive beating, that fallen pseudo-Brahman ultimately left that place, shouting, "Oh, Father, save me! Oh, Mother, save me! I'm dying!" Tove danka nija sukhe nachila vistar, sabar janmilo boro vismai antar. Thereafter, the snake charmer happily continued on with his dance, as everyone there watched in astonishment. Jora haste sabe jagya sendanka sthane, koho deki e viprere marila bakene. Later, they all folded their hands and asked the snake charmer, "Please explain to us why you beat that Brahman." Haridasa nachite ba jora haste kene, rohila e sabakata kohoto apane. And why did you stand aside with folded hands when Haridas was dancing? Tabe she dankamukhe Vishnu bhakta nag, kahite lagila Haridaser prabhav. Then the serpent devotee of Vishnu spoke through the mouth of the snake charmer about the glories of Haridas. Does the serpent devotee of Vishnu refer to Anantashesh or to Vasuki? Let's see if it clarifies. Tomra je jigyasila e boro rahasya yadyapi akatya tabu kohimu abashya. You have asked me about a mysterious subject. Although it is confidential, I must disclose it. Gaudiya Bhashya. What time is it? 8:28. Oh my God, it's only... What verse were we going to try to read up to today? Let me just check 1 second. 229. What verse are we on now? Okay, we might not be able to finish. The audience asked the snake charmer, "Oh, snake charmer, why did you stand to the side with folded hands when Haridāsa Ṭhākura fell unconscious in ecstatic love of God after his uncommon dancing? And why did you mercilessly beat this Prakrit Sahajya when he fell unconscious while exhibiting his artificial sentiments?" In reply, Anantadev, Anantadev, who was situated within the body of the snake charmer, spoke to everyone through the mouth of the snake charmer. The subject matter that you have inquired about is very mysterious and indescribable. Though it is most confidential, I will certainly explain everything to you in detail. Haridāsa Ṭhākura dekhiya avesh. I read that last sentence, right? Yeah, though it was most confidential, I'll certainly explain everything to you in detail. Okay. Haridāsa Ṭhākura dekhiya avesh, tomra je bhakti boro korila vishesh. You all felt great reverence for Haridas when you saw his ecstatic dance. Taha deki o brahmana dhangati koriya, porila matsarja buddhe achara khaya. Saying this, that pseudo-Brahman fell to the ground in an envious imitation of Haridas. Yeah, seeing this, that pseudo-Brahman fell to the ground in envious imitation of Haridas when he saw you all when he saw your reverence for Haridas. Amar nritya sukha bhanga koribare matsarja buddhi kon jana shakti dhare. Who has the power to enviously disturb the pleasure of my dancing? Haridasa shange spardha mitya kori kore, ataeva shasti bahu korilun uhare. Out of audacity, he tried to imitate Haridas, and therefore I punished him accordingly. Gaudiya Bhashya. Haridāsa Ṭhākura is a non-duplicitous, transcendental, spontaneous, pure devotee of the Lord, whereas this pseudo-Brahman is an abominable prakrit sahajya. Artificial imitation born of false rivalry with non-duplicitous pure devotees is the fraudulent drama of hypocritical sahajyas. Since this prakrit sahajya tried to artificially imitate the activities of a Mahabhagavat Vaiṣṇava Ṭhākura out of envy and hate, and with a desire to cheaply acquire mundane fame from the foolish persons ignorant of the truth, I have sufficiently punished him. Boro loka kori loka januka amare, apanare prakataye dharma karma kore. He presented himself as an important person by imitating some religious sentiments. Gaudiya Bhashya. I'm going to skip that Gaudiya Bhashya because it time's up, and I'm just going to end with this verse here. We'll read it tomorrow though. Eshakala dhambike Krishna pritinai, akaitava hoile she Krishna bhakti pai. Actually, that arrogant and deceitful Brahmana has no love for Krishna. To achieve the devotional service of Lord Krishna, one has to be free from duplicity. I'll read this Gaudiya Bhashya tomorrow also. Then one who sees Haridas dancing is freed from all bondage. When Haridas dances, Lord Krishna personally dances. Thus the whole universe can be purified by seeing his dance. His name Haridas is appropriate, for Lord Krishna constantly dwells in his heart. He is affectionate to all living entities, and he is always engaged in their welfare. He accompanies the Lord wherever he incarnates. He is never offensive to Vishnu or the Vaishnavas, and even in a dream, he does not deviate from the proper path. One who associates with Haridas for even a fraction of a moment will certainly attain shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva always desired to associate with a devotee like Haridas. On the order of the Lord, Haridas was born in a low-class family to show that birth in a high caste or good family are useless. If a devotee of the Lord is born in a low-class family, he is still worthy of worship. This is the verdict of the scriptures. And if someone is born in a high-class family but does not worship the lotus feet of Sri Krishna, then his high birth is useless and he falls to hell. Haridas thus took birth in a low-class family to prove the words of the scriptures. What to speak of his touch? Just by seeing Haridas, one is released from the bondage of fruitive activities. Indeed, even if one sees a person who has taken shelter of Haridas, he is freed from material bondage. If I glorify Haridas for 100 years with 100 mouths, I would still not reach the end of his glories. You are all fortunate, for because of you, I received an opportunity to glorify Haridas. I assure you that one who simply chants the name of Haridas without offense will certainly attain the abode of Krishna. After speaking in this way, the king of the snakes became silent, and all the pious people there felt fully satisfied. Thus the Vaishnava snake related the glories of Haridāsa Ṭhākura. By hearing the snake's narration through the mouth of the Snakecharmer, all the people felt great affection for Haridas. Haridas passed his days in this way before Gaurachandra manifested his devotional feelings. Okay, so we'll read all this tomorrow, but I just wanted to end the story. And we'll read those two Gaudiya Bhashyas I skipped. All right. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur, Hari Bol. Sure, would you like to do Jaidwani?
जय सुप्रकाश श्री गुरु गौरंग गण हरि का गिरि हरि रार विनोद बिहरि राम नायनाथ राध रमन बिहरि राम मार्ग श्री महाप्रभु राध गोपीनाथ जी की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रिय व्रजगचार्य वर्य अष्टोत्तरशत शिष्यमान भक्ति विज्ञान भारती गोस्वामी गुरु महाराज की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद परमहंस प्रिय व्रजगचार्य वर्य अष्टोत्तरशत शिष्यमान भक्ति वेदांत श्रील नारायण गोस्वामी महाराज परि पावन गुरुदेव की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्णम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्रशत शिष्यमान भक्ति बल तीर्थ गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्णम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्रशत शिष्यमान भक्ति वेदांत श्रील वामन गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्णम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्रशत शिष्यमान भक्ति वेदांत विक्रम गोस्वामी महाराज की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्णम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्रशत शिष्यमान ऐसे भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी गोस्वामी महाराज जगद्गुरु श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्रशत शिष्यमान भक्ति द्वैत मार्ग गोस्वामी परम गुरु महाराज की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्रशत शिष्यमान भक्ति प्रज्ञान केशव गोस्वामी महाराज परम गुरुदेव चार्य केशरी की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्टम विष्णुपाद स्तोत्रशत शिष्यमान जगद्गुरु श्री वैष्णवानाभिदयित दास श्रीला भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। सप्रकाश शिल प्रभुपाद भक्ति स्नान सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्णम विष्णुपाद महापरम भगवत प्रभार परमहंस अष्टोत्तरशत शिष्यमान गौर किशोर दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्णम विष्णुपाद सप्तम गोस्वामी अष्टोत्तरशत शिष्यमान सच्चिदानंद भक्ति विनोद ठाकुर महाशय की जय। जय नित्यालेल प्रविष्णम विष्णुपाद वैष्णव सर्वोम अष्टोत्तरशत शिष्यमान जगन्नाथ दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। जय श्री गुणवासी श्री मधुसूदन दास बाबूजी महाराज की जय। जय श्री उद्धवदास उदरान दास की जय। करिविरान आचार्य श्री शिल बलदेव विभूषण प्रभु की जय। महामहोपरिजाय रसिक शिरोमणि श्री शिल विष्णु चक्रवर्ती ठाकुर पार की जय। शिल रसिकानंद मुरारी देव गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। शिल रामचंद्र कविराज की जय। शिल लोचन दास ठाकुर की जय। जय शिल नरोत्तम दास ठाकुर महाशय श्रीनिवासाचार्य श्यामानंद पंडित प्रभुत्राय की जय। शिल कृष्णदास कविराज गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। यशवदार अरिका विशल वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। श्री अष्ट कविराज वसुर जानव नित्यानंद तुरस गोपाल श्री चौषधि महंत की जय। जय श्री स्वरूप दामोदर रमन जय श्री रूप श्री सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री जीव गोपाल भट्ट दास रघुनाथ षड गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। श्री स्वरूप दामोदर रमानंद लोकनाथ गर्भ अधिकौर परिशार वृंद की जय। नमाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासरी गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। शिल ईश्वर परिपार की जय। शिल मारविंद्र परिपार की जय। जय श्री अंतरदीप मायापुर सिमंदीप गौतमदीप मध्यादीप कौलीदीप ऋतुदीप जानुदीप माधुरद्रमादीप रुद्रादीप मानमका श्री नवदीप धाम की जय। श्री एक चक्र धाम की जय। श्री शांतिपुर धाम की जय। श्री गौरचंद्र भगवान की जय। हरिदास प्राण श्री सचिदानंद गौर हरि की जय। जय श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोपीनाथ गोपी कपा गौ गिरि गोपिदान द्वार शतवनाथ माक श्री ब्रज मंडल धाम की जय। श्री राधा कुंड श्याम कुंड गंग सखी यामन सखी तुलसी भक्ति देव की जय। वृषभानुनंदिनी श्रीमती राधा रानी ठाकुरानी की जय। श्री ललिता विशाखा चित्र चंपकलता तुंग विद्या इंदुलेख रंग देवी सुदेवी अरिसखी वृंद की जय। श्री अनंग प्रेमा मंजुलाली श्री रूप लवंग राग विलास गुणरति कस्तूरी अरि मंजारी वृंद की जय। श्री कमल मंजरी देवी की जय। श्री नयन मणि मंजरी देवी की जय। श्रीमती वृंद देवी की जय। श्री भगवती पूर्णमासी योगमाय देवी की जय। श्री गोपेश्वर श्री शिव महादेव की जय। राधा पनंकित धाम श्री वृंदावन की जय। जय श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र नीलमाधव जी की जय। श्री जगन्नाथ पुरी पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र मंडल नीलाचल धाम की जय। सर्वा विक्रम रशन करे भक्त विक्रम नाश श्री नरसिंह देव की जय। भक्तराज भक्त प्रभराज श्री प्रहलाद महाराज की जय। श्री प्रहलाद लक्ष्मीन्द्र सिंह देव की जय। श्री चरिराम चरि संप्रदाय श्री मध्वर मनुज विष्णु स्वामी निम्पृत्या चर्याचार्य की जय। आकर मद्राज श्री चैतन्य मात की जय। श्री गौरी मात वृंद की जय। Kanantara Śrīmad Bhagavatam Bhagavad Gita Chaitanya Charitamrita Chaitanya Bhagavad Jaiva Dharma Adi Sarva Gauriya Vaishnava Karanta Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura Ki Jai. Tribhuvan Mangal Shri Harinam Prabhu Ki Jai. Tribhuvan Mangal Shri Harinam Sankirtan Dharma Ki Jai. त्रिभुवन मंगल धन्य कलयुग तरक ब्रह्म श्री हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे महामंत्र की जय। श्री अनंतपुरी वैष्णव वृंद की जय। श्री समगत गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री चैतन्य भगवान की जय। शील नामचार्य हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। शील वृंदावन दास ठाकुर की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी ठाकुर की जय। शिल प्रभुपाद गौरीय पश्य की जय। श्री निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल। ओम वृंदाय तुलसी देव्याय प्रियाय केशवस्य च कृष्ण भक्ति प्रदेवी सत्यवत्याय नमो नमः। पंचाकल्पतरुष्ट कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। I offer pranam again and again to the Vaishnavas, who are the saviors of the fallen, who are just like wish-fulfilling desire trees, and who are oceans of mercy.
Jai Vaishnav Thakur ki Jai. Jai Namacharya Śrīla Haridāsa Ṭhākura ki Jai. Haribo. All right, so does anybody have any remarks, anything that they want to, before we end the video for today, we end this session for today?
Have you been to that cave where Haridāsa Ṭhākura was chanting? Or do you know
No, I
where it
really
is?
want to go though. I really want to go. Fulia, huh? Yeah, that'd be, I don't think I've ever been to Fulia before, so that would be a really nice darshan. I think it's, maybe I have gone before. It mentioned it's near Shantipur, right? I've been to Shantipur a few times. So, yeah. Yeah, I'd love to go and darshan there sometime. Maybe Kishore, when you come, we can do our, that can be part of our darshan thing.
Good, Haribol.
Alright. Alright, Dandavat Pranams, Nuri Hari Prabhu and Bhavatarani Mataji, Champak Didi, Subhadra Didi, Kishore Krishna Prabhu, and let's see on YouTube and Facebook, there's Karuna Didi, Ganga Mataji, Rup Manjari Didi, Nitai, and Sudevi Didi, Raseshwari Mataji, Govinda Saha, Shash Sharmaji. Govinda went there to Pulia. He made a video. Great. Is the video on your Facebook page? You can, yeah. You go to Govinda Saha, GOBINDASAHA. You can check out his page, and he made a video of Pulia. Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. All right. All right, Dandavat Pranams, everybody. I'll see you all tomorrow to read more about the glories of Haridāsa Ṭhākura. And yeah, Jai Shri Radhe. Kartik. Okay, so let's see what the next days coming up are. Indira Ekadashi is coming up in 4 days. The appearance day of Srila Bhakti Pramod Puri Goswami Maharaj is coming up in 12 days. And then Madhvacharya and Ramachandra Vijayotsav is in 18 days. Then Ekadashi is in 19 days again. Then the disappearance day of 3 Goswamis, of Raghunath Das Goswami, of Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, and Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. Their disappearance day is in 20 days from now. And then 2 days after that is Sharadiya Ras Purnima, also the disappearance day of my Param Gurudev Shri Srimad Bhakti-Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj. So that's in 22 days from now. I post a countdown for all the next 6 upcoming titis well, I'm supposed to do it every day, but I usually do it like every few days. But if you'd like to join that, you can join the TT countdown group, so that we're always know what's coming up. We can prepare ourselves before each holy TT. All right, Haribol, everybody. Just checking the comments. Okay, Govinda says he has to find the video, but he'll send it to me. Okay, so then maybe we can, tomorrow in our reading, we'll look at the video after the reading or before it. All right. Haribol, everybody. Dandavat Pranams. Hare Krishna.